手触りは人間と変わらないのか。ごめんなさい。
別に謝る必要はないさ。羽川がたとえど
ありがとう。
The story begins by showing a man named Koyomi Araragi walking inside a building. He walked to the roof of the building and found many black crows swarming the building. Suddenly, sunlight appeared, making Araragi's body burned by fire. While enduring the burning pain, he lost his way and fell from the roof of the building. The day before the incident happened, Araragi met a woman named Tsubasa Hankawa in front of his school. Even though they were talking for the first time, they seemed to be very close. Araragi knows the figure of Hankawa as a student who often gets almost perfect grades, while Hankawa knows Araragi's figure as a student who is aloof and has no friends. Then, Hankawa talked about vampires to Araragi. She recently heard rumors about the appearance of a beautiful blonde female vampire. Even Araragi didn't believe such rumors, while she thought they were just ridiculous things. But Hankawa wanted to meet the female vampire if she existed. After talking to him, Hankawa thought that Araragi was an easy person to talk to, but she found it strange why he didn't have any friends. It turns out that Araragi has his own reasons. He feels he doesn't need friends because it can reduce his freedom. Hearing that, she thought that his thinking was very shallow. After that, Hankawa asked him to go to the library, but Araragi refused. She then gave her cell phone number to him and left. From then on, Araragi finally had a friend. In the evening, Araragi went somewhere. Arriving at an underground station, he found blood stained on the station floor. Out of curiosity, he traced the blood trail until he met a figure of a female vampire who was injured. Seeing this, Araragi was very scared, but he still wanted to help her. Without him knowing, the female vampire had bitten his neck and sucked a little of his blood until he passed out. After 2 days of that incident, Araragi came to his senses. When he woke up, he was with a girl in an empty building. Then, he came out of the room to leave the building, but instead, he caught fire after being exposed to the sun. Seeing this, the girl helped Araragi. Even though her body was also burned, but the two of them were finally able to save themselves. The girl warns Araragi not to go out when the sun comes up because his body could get burned. From now on, he can only go out at night. Luckily, Araragi has the power of immortality, so that when his body burns, it will recover. While for ordinary vampires, if they are burned, they are instantly destroyed. While rubbing Araragi's head, the girl said, "That's the life of vampires." As it turned out, the female vampire who had been saved by Araragi was the figure of the girl. She had also made Araragi her servant. For the second time, the immortal vampire named Shinobu Ashino managed to get a new servant. She explained that now she had turned into a child because parts of her body had been stolen by some vampire exterminators. Despite the body like a child, she is a vampire who has lived for hundreds of years. Currently, Shinobu can't use her full power, but she promises to return Araragi to a normal human again. For that, she must restore her strength and her body as before. Because Araragi had inherited some of her powers, Shinobu ordered him to confront the vampire slayers. Hearing this, he found it impossible to do so. But because now Araragi has become a servant of the immortal vampire, who can even kill his own master, Araragi can defeat them easily if he fights them one by one. Unfortunately, he had to deal with 3 vampire exterminators at once. When Araragi's life begins to be threatened, there is a man named Mimashino who comes to his aid. He also brought Araragi to his hiding place. Mime is a supernatural specialist who works to maintain a balance between them. Before facing another vampire hunter, Araragi spent his time learning martial arts techniques. Not long after, Hankawa appeared beside him. Because she came suddenly, Araragi tried to avoid her. But because she wanted to talk to him, she kept trying to talk to him until it took quite a long time. As the night wore on, Araragi told Hankawa to hurry home. He also warned her not to roam outside the house at night because she might be intercepted by a vampire. But Hankawa was looking forward to it because she really wanted to talk to a vampire. Hearing her words, Araragi was very angry and told her not to follow him anymore. That way, he can more freely complete his task. In addition, Araragi feels that he is getting stronger to defeat the vampire slayers. When Araragi faced the vampire exterminator, he asked that if Araragi wins, then the vampire exterminator must return Shinobu's right leg. But if Araragi lost, then he had to tell the man where the vampire was hiding. But it looks like their physical abilities are not balanced, so Araragi's left arm actually gets a fatal attack from the man. Luckily, Araragi soon realized his ability to regenerate, so his arm could be intact again. After that, Araragi immediately attacked the man regardless of his attack. Because no matter how badly injured he was, Araragi could easily regenerate his body and prepare to fight again. They also fought in a sports hall. Araragi threw several balls to outwit his opponent. When the man was off guard, he threw an iron ball at his face. Araragi also threatened the man to throw a large iron if he did not comply with his request. As a result, the man admitted defeat and managed to grab Shinobu's right leg, but without realizing it, Hankowa witnessed Araragi and the man's fight. After the fight was over, Araragi also returned her right leg so that her body turned into the figure of a teenager. At the same time, Araragi's body also undergoes changes to become more muscular because his regenerating ability keeps his body awake. Seeing this, Hankowa felt very impressed with him. After that, Araragi continued his fight with the second vampire hunter, a half-vampire man named Episode. After the fight started, Araragi was attacked with a large cross, so he had a hard time dealing with it. But when Episode attacked Hankowa, Araragi suddenly felt so angry that his strength exploded like a bomb and continued to beat Episode's body. Before long, Mime came to stop him and tell him how to save Hankowa by pouring his own blood. After Episode was defeated, and he returned Shinobu's left leg. Shinobu returned to being an adult woman. Unfortunately, her abilities as a vampire still can't be used fully. So she still needs Araragi to do the next battle. Right now, Shinobu might be able to fight Dramaturgy, the first man Araragi fought, but she couldn't beat Episode, especially against Guillotine Cutter. It is known that Guillotine Cutter is not a vampire like Dramaturgy, and not a half-vampire like Episode. Guillotine Cutter is fully human. But he is the one to watch out for, because he has been recognized as a vampire exterminator specialist. Before the fight, Araragi met Hankowa again, and he asked her not to see him again. Because Hankowa was out of control, whatever Araragi said was ignored. Shortly after they parted ways, suddenly, Mime came along with the news that Guillotine Cutter had kidnapped Hankowa. Guillotine Cutter doesn't have superpowers like other vampire hunters, but his body has been trained so he can kill Hankowa easily. With that threat, he thought Araragi would give up, but he instead unleashed his full power to save her. Araragi seems to have lost his humanity and become a complete monster, so he can defeat Guillotine Cutter. After losing to Araragi, he kept his promise to return Shinobu's arms. Although the goal has been achieved, Araragi feels something is off because the man is too easy to beat. Shinobu should be able to beat him herself. Then, Mime shows a heart and tells the reason why Shinobu's strength is reduced. It turns out that secretly, Mime has taken Shinobu's heart. He also threw the heart to Araragi, saying that the heart could turn him into a human again. Mime also says that his work is done, so the balance has been reached and Araragi doesn't have to pay for it. With her arms and heart restored, Shinobu can return to how she used to be again. But before keeping her promise, she wanted to discuss something with Araragi about her first servant. The man was a great warrior figure who always protected her, but at one point, he chose to end his life. Shinobu thought about having no more servants, until Araragi appeared and became her second servant. Before becoming a human again, Araragi thought Shinobu was a good vampire. He was planning to say goodbye in earnest. But all this time, he had misjudged her. He also felt very disappointed because Shinobu had always eaten humans all her life. Araragi thinks this is all his fault. His rash act had made the situation such a mess. When Shinobu sucked his blood, Araragi never thought that she would become like this. Now that Shinobu has fully returned, she will continue to prey on humans wherever she is. Therefore, Araragi gave up on being human and intended to end his life. Not long after, Hankowa appeared and tried to stop him. She didn't care even if Araragi was starving and thought of her as prey. Although nothing can stop Shinobu, Hankowa believes that Araragi can stop her. Maybe only he can stop Shinobu. As one of her servants, Araragi finally believes he can defeat his master with his own hands. At a soccer stadium, he faced Shinobu. She understood why Araragi was feeling so angry, so this time, she only asked him to come back to her side. Because Araragi had once saved her life, she thought the two of them could live side by side forever. However, Araragi refused her request. He chose to fight against her with the aim of killing each other. Their fight was brutal, but their bodies were both rapidly regenerating. Hankowa, who witnessed it, felt that there was something strange about the fight. It turned out that from the beginning, Shinobu intended to die, but Araragi did not let her die. Therefore, she looked for another solution. By making Shinobu almost killed, then her power as a vampire will disappear, while Araragi will not be able to become human. Even though Araragi's wish is not achieved, they will live as long as they are not far from each other. Thank you for watching this video. See you on the next video.
人間と変わらない